Ukraine has officially hit Russia with US long-range missiles. This is quite the development going on over in Ukraine and Russia. I haven't done one of these talks in a long time where we talk about ongoing efforts in Ukraine, but quite a lot has happened over the past few days. Ever since the election, a lot has happened. And so I just wanted to kind of talk about some stuff, go over it, kind of like what I used to do when the war first kicked off. With that being said, if you like these update videos, let me know in the comment section down below, and I can certainly do more of them if that is something you are interested in. Okay, so let me pull up the old map that we were looking at back in the day when this first kicked off. Let's quickly talk about what's going on. It seems like ever since the election, ever since we found out that Trump has won the election to become the next president, it's almost as if there has been quite a large escalation in the war from both sides, from both Russia and Ukraine. We now have Russia with North Korean soldiers fighting. We have Ukraine getting a little bit more equipment being used right now from the US. We know that the US puts a ton of money into Ukraine to help them out with the war effort. And so it's almost as if it might be a mix of both Biden trying to pump as much as he can into this war to try and get it over with so he can say he's helped finish the war, or it could be him trying to change something before Trump gets in and prevent Trump from getting too much glory, or he's trying to help Ukraine before Trump takes away funding from Ukraine. So there's a lot of different things here we can think about. In fact, there was also another massive development. Let me pull this up real quick of Trump's nominee for which one was it? Defense Secretary. Let me find out what this guy's called. We will get this up as well. We will talk about this as well. Defense Secretary. Where is it? I forgot what his name is. There it is. There it is. Pete Hegseth. Confirmation as Department of Defense. People are complaining about this because he's a Fox News presenter. And so why would this guy get the nominee? But we're going to talk about that at the end of it. Let's talk about the war to start with, right? We know that last night, yesterday when watching this, that Ukraine has officially fired US long-range missiles into Russia. Now, as far as I'm aware, they've hit in this area here, Bryansk. Is it Bryansk? I think it's called. It says on this Sky Sports News that Russian Ministry of Defense says Ukraine armed forces have struck a target in the Bryansk region of Russia with 6 ATACMS ballistic missiles supplied by the US. Now, as far as I'm aware, the reason they hit this specific area is because there is a military base here that holds weapons, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is it right here. This is in this area right here. Now, as far as I'm aware, there is a military, it must be this here, military defense or military missile or ammunitions depot here. I wonder if we can get a different looking no, we're not gonna get. I wanted to get like a more of a realistic map, but it doesn't look like we're gonna get that, which is a shame. But so apparently this right here is some sort of ammunitions depot, and that's what they've hit. Get out of here. That's what they've hit over here near Bryansk, which, as you can see, is quite substantially far into the area. Now, we can talk about everything that's going on around here, but I just want to talk about what this means, what this long-range long-range missile effort actually means. And there's rumors that Russia are now talking about nukes and stuff like that, but you can kind of say that they've been talking about that crap for a long time, haven't they? So here's some key points here from Sky News. We've got a few different news sources, but here's some key points from Sky News that we're going to go over. US closes Kiev embassy after warnings of significant air attack. Makes sense. Biden approves provision of anti-personnel mines. I'll get on that in a minute. That's going to be the next thing we talk about. Trump presidency could see part of eastern Ukraine permanently in Russian hands. This is what I'm saying about a massive development in Biden trying to prevent something like that happening. Ukraine are not going to allow that. Trump will turn around and say, look, just give him that part of Ukraine and we can end the war, so that Trump can say he helped end the war. But the truth is, Ukraine don't want to give away any part of Ukraine. And that makes total sense. Imagine if the US was at war with Canada and we were like, all right, we're going to give you all of the states in the north, right? Like, you can't do that. You just can't do it. Ukraine launches 6 US long-range missiles at Russia. Moscow says, this is what I'm talking about with that depot. We'll check that post out in a second. Kremlin warns of nuclear response after Putin signs new doctrine. We'll check that out. Further readings. Putin's nuclear saber rattling reaches new dangerous levels. I feel like this he's always saying this crap, isn't he? Let's be honest. 1,000th day of the war marks critical point for Ukraine. How Russia... This is extra headlines. But let's go back up here. The one thing I want to check out is this right here. Let's check this post out. Russia's defense ministry says Ukraine has hit Russia with ATACMS missiles supplied by US. Russian state media reports. RIA Novosti cited the ministry as saying Ukrainian troops launched 6 missiles at night on a target in the Bryansk region. It said air defense systems crew shot down 5 shells and managed to target another one, but that missile fragment fell on the technical territory of the military facility, causing a fire. The news agency cited the ministry as saying the missiles caused no casualties or damage. So they weren't really effective, let's be honest. It is reported that the missiles were targeting a military depot, which is more than 100 miles north of Kursk. Initial reports that the US had authorized the use of their missiles for strikes on Russia had suggested they were restricted to use in the Kursk region, where Ukraine continues to hold some territory after an incursion into Russia in August. It comes after the Kremlin warned early today that Ukraine's use of Western supplies missiles against Russia could trigger a nuclear response under a new doctrine approved by Vladimir Putin this morning. So let's go look at that doctrine that he's talking about. And then we can kind of get an understanding on what he's saying here. Kremlin warns Ukraine's use of Western-supplied missiles against Russia could trigger nuclear response. Okay. Let's have a look here. When asked by journalists whether Russia would view the use of Western non-nuclear missiles by the Ukrainian armed forces as part of an attack by non-nuclear state with the support of a nuclear state, and whether that would entail the possibility of Russia using nuclear weapons, TASS quoted him as replying, yes, that is what is being discussed. The comment would appear designed to allude to the Biden administration's decision to allow Ukraine to use US-supplied missiles. It should be noted that at this point, Moscow has made serious threats to the West over its support of Ukraine throughout the war, often provoking basically they're saying they've been saying they're going to use nukes constantly. So I get it. Like, there's only so many times they can say it before they're actually going to do it, which is worrying. But we'll see. Obviously, we don't want that to happen, and I don't think Russia wants it to happen because they know for a fact if Russia dropped a nuke on Ukraine, the West will start nuking them. That's what will happen. There'll be a nuclear war. I wanted to talk about this quickly because I feel like this is a very interesting take on what's going on right now. Biden approves landmines for Ukraine as US steps up aid to slow Russia's advances. This is a very interesting take because you don't really see landmines in the headline, do you, anymore? Like, this is a very old school way of fighting, but it's a very effective way of fighting. You can say that because of Afghan and stuff like that. We'll talk over the summary right here, and then I want to actually move back over to the map and see where it can be used, where these landmines can actually be used. US President Joe Biden agrees to give Ukraine anti-personnel mines, a defense official tells the BBC, as the US steps up aid to slow Russia's advances. The US official confirms to the BBC that Ukraine has pledged to use only mines that remained active for a limited period of time and would not use them in densely populated areas. So this is preventing the whole kind of like IED 50 years down the line, right? We've seen this where countries will go to, like, World War II. There would be mines placed in various places and you wouldn't find out until like 20 years after the war, and people were still getting tripped up by these landmines. So this is a big response in that. I like this idea. At the same time, we don't know how long this war is going to last, do we, at this point? And so I wonder what that limited period of time is for these mines. Meanwhile, the US Embassy in Kiev is temporarily closed, as it says it received information of potential attack, significant air attack on the 20th of November. That's pretty significant as well that they would do that. Ukraine's president says his country will lose if US cuts their military aid as Russia rules out a freeze in the conflict. So the reason he's saying this is because of the whole Trump administration coming in and wanting to make a big effect on this war. And you can kind of tell, like, you can kind of see it happening. It's almost as if Trump wants to say that he's ended the war. He also kind of wants to not keep sending billions of dollars over to this war, which I get. It's very easy to be in America and be like, oh my God, why are we spending billions of dollars in Ukraine? But the truth is, this could be way more expensive if Russia does invade Ukraine and takes Ukraine and then starts kicking off with the rest of Europe, which means NATO gets involved, which means the US gets involved. So it would be way more expensive in the long run if they didn't help. With that being said, I understand why they don't want to send this money, because it's been going on for a long time and nothing's changed. The war needs to end. It needs to be finished, and it needs to end by Russia leaving Ukraine territory. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. So this whole area here is exactly, I mean, you could pull up the videos I did from when Russia first kicked off with Ukraine, and you won't see that much of a difference between the two. Like, you won't see a significant difference. But we can go over some of the small things that happen. Well, I say small compared to some of the big headlines from the West, you know. Explosions are two explosions are reported in this area here. Again, this is all like concurrent stuff, so it looks like the majority of the fighting is occurring around here, while there are smaller advances happening around here. We've got more drone stuff happening around here, which is pretty significant. Is this where the long-range missiles came? I wonder where they were shot from. It must have been around here, right? I'm wondering where the US long-range missiles were actually shot from. Must have been around here. Which is quite significant, isn't it? We've got some stuff happening, obviously, in US territory here as well. Drones hit a plant in Yeka district. So, yeah, I mean, we could go over all of these, but it's all exactly as you would expect. Just smaller fighting and smaller, like, you know, small arms fire around here, all within these built-up areas around here. My hope is that the people in all these areas here are staying safe, right? We've got some of the bigger towns around here. I'm hoping that a lot of these people around here are staying safe, looking after themselves, evacuating if they can do, because you just never know, do you, at this point with a lot of the missiles going off. Looks like there's quite a bit of an advance going on here, actually. They were clashing yesterday in this area. We've got airstrikes happening all around this area here. It looks like they're probably trying to advance to take this city here. So yeah, lots of small and incremental advancements going on all around this area as usual. But the big headlines today were the long-range missiles officially being used. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Russia's response is to that. And these landmines. Now, let's go over to Trump's pick for defense secretary. This is Pete Hegseth. Everyone's saying this guy is a Fox News host. Why is he picking him? Which, rightly so, if that's the headline. If this guy's a Fox News host, why the hell is he picking him? But let's actually take a look at this guy's credentials and see why this is actually going on. He's an American television presenter. Can we actually look at qualifications? He went to Harvard, so he's not he's a smart guy. He has been in the US Army between 2003 and 2014, and then it looks like he rejoined for 3 more years between 2019 and 2021. He was an officer as a major, which is always really nice. He was in Iraq and Afghan. He's earned the Bronze Star, Army Commendation Medal, and a few other things. So it's not like he's just... You see the headlines that he's just a Fox News presenter. And I get it. It's very easy to be like, look, he's on Fox and Friends. Trump is just appointing people that he likes. which for the most part, I think he is doing in a way, but at the same time, you've got to look at this guy's credentials. He's been active in conservative and Republican politics since his undergraduate days at Princeton University. He emerged as a supporter of Donald Trump presidency candidate, blah, 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 blah. Let's see what his... I wonder what his take is on the Ukraine war. I wonder if we can find that. Let me pull my head up real quick on Ukraine. Let's see what his actual stance is. Did he call Putin a war criminal? Did he actually say that? Let's have a look here. The claim, the facts. While Hagseth aligned with the claim that Putin was a war criminal in a clip shared online was from 2022, not long after the outbreak. Since then, he's been more cautious and critical of the US intervention with Ukraine. So that's interesting. So he is, I mean, you can say that he's going to be, a bit critical of the Ukraine war, isn't he? He's always going to do that, being part of the Republican side. Let's have a look. Let's have a look here. This article right here by the Kiev Post, Ukraine Global Voice. Again, we don't know how much of this is just propaganda at the end of the day on any side. There's a lot of articles in the US, the UK, Europe, Russia, China that are just propaganda. So when I'm reading this type of stuff, let's just take everything with a pinch of salt, guys, okay? Trump has called him tough, smart, and a true believer in America first. Cool. That doesn't really say anything. The nominee said Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine appeared to be Putin's give me my stuff back war. Give me my shit back war. I mean, yes and no. It's not really his to take in the first place, but whatever. I'm not seeing anything here on what his take is actually on the Ukraine. Do you know what? He probably hasn't even said anything since an appointment about the Ukraine war, which is very interesting. Verifying this device. Wall Street Journal's trying to track me. It's probably not going to be saying much about it, considering this is all when Trump met Joe. Yeah, I don't think we're going to find out much about his stance on the war currently until closer to the administration, unfortunately. But it does give me, a little bit of hope that this guy, yes, he's got the credentials behind it. He's not just a Fox News host, which is the kind of the thing that everyone says. It does make me wonder what, it says his military career. It doesn't say much about it. It was in the National Guard. So he changed from the army to the National Guard by the looks of it. In 2022, he volunteered as one of the up to 225,000 National Guard troops authorized by the Pentagon to be put up on active duty to protect the inauguration of Joe Biden, but was one of the 12 soldiers removed from that mission. Attributed his removal from the assignment to a Jerusalem cross tattoo, which is a Christian symbol. He said Hagstad says his National Guard superiors determined his tattoo were connected to extremism. I've seen the tattoo in imagery. It's kind of like a regular cross with 4 crosses in each corner. Take that as you will. I'm not going to get into that. My big thing is wondering what his points are on the Ukraine war. What does he want to do about that? It's going to be interesting to see these developments in the near future. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I will do another update if big news comes out over the next few days, if you want it. So let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. Other than that, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.